Go.
Hi, well, my name is Pamela Morgan, and I am here with BuildABatShacks. And our main purpose is really to communicate with people. And we want to talk about the good guy and the bad guy of nature. Everybody knows the bad guy is mosquitoes. Everybody knows all of the tragic and very frustrating diseases that mosquitoes carry and transmute across everywhere they go. You've heard of West Nile, West Nile syndrome, or West Nile virus. You haven't heard of white nose syndrome, but you've heard of West Nile virus. You've heard of dengue. You've heard of cholera. You've heard of yellow fever. Most of us nowadays have heard of Zika. And that's kind of where I came in, because Zika really hit home for me in my personal story. So where this has ended is I absolutely abhor mosquitoes. I don't know of anyone that would ever say they love them. And they're truly the bad guy. And the good guy here that really gets a bad rap is the bat. Bats actually think mosquitoes are delicious. They eat them. They are the #1 natural insectivore on our planet, and the #1 mosquitovore in our ecosystem where I live. So for me, that really hit home on the importance of this animal that's recently been dubbed endangered and threatened. And personally in my area, 3 species have gone extinct in the last 5 years. So that's very concerning for that to be happening in my backyard. You know, with bats being in that group of dwindling in numbers, and their main diet in my area, in my ecosystem, is insects, and seeing pesticides skyrocket in the last 5 years to 10 years, and as well bees having such a big issue with pesticides, it just seems like this is a very involved, large, and complicated conversation for
Yeah.
me. So what do you do about mosquitoes? Well, bats eat them. No one in the South is going to stop going outside. Or you could put on spray, and that is definitely not 100%. Or, those pesticides. But let's see if we can turn this conversation to something different, maybe. So one bat can eat up to 1,000 mosquitoes in the 3 to 5 hours that it's awake for the day. They're very posh and princessy in their behaviors. I wish I could sleep for about 14 hours a day. That would be ideal for me. I really feel I wish I could be a bat, because their life just sounds incredible. If it's a pregnant bat, she will eat about 2,000 to 3,000 mosquitoes. Bats actually give birth to children that are 40% of their body weight. That is a tough mommy. She's going to breastfeed, give birth, and carry that bat as she flies, which is also interesting because they're the only flying mammals. So she has very heavy bones. She can't jump and take flight off the ground like a regular bird does. Those are completely different animals. She has bone marrow and breastfeeds and has skin and fur and no feathers. So she's incredibly heavy for how big she is and the fact that she flies. So with the little houses that I've been building at BuildABatShacks, and we give these to kids and let kids decorate them and design them, and they either take them home and put them in their backyard, or their mom or dad's or aunt or uncles or grandpa's or grandmother's, somebody's backyard in your family. I don't care where you go play, but put it somewhere. Or we donate it to either the TWA or the Nature Center or the school that the children attend here. So a bat can eat this bat roost of this house that we've built. That roost will devour 40 to 100,000 mosquitoes in an evening when it emerges from its home. That's huge. Could you imagine 40,000 to 100,000 mosquitoes being devoured from ground zero being your backyard every night, or your patio, or your pool, or wherever it is that you enjoy a comfortable outdoor space, and you don't like bug bites? I think that sounds just absolutely incredible and amazing. Why why do these guys get a bad rap? Why don't people like bats? So that's really why I want to change the PR of bats in general. The white nose syndrome is what's affecting them and what's causing the dwindling of their numbers. And, they say no press is bad press, but I promise you Dracula hasn't done any favors for bats. There is such a thing as a vampire bat, but it's not local to my area here in Tennessee. It is a migratory bat. It's not a hibernating bat. And it's just very interesting. It does drink blood, but it licks it. It doesn't like drink it out of a glass. It doesn't work that way. And their saliva is very similar in a dog. A lot of people are comfortable with dogs because when they lick you, it's very sterile for a dog lick in the world of veterinary care and natural treatments concerning. That particular bat, when they lick, their saliva is an antiseptic and like a Band-Aid effect on where they bite. So as they're licking the blood that they just bit and made a little incision, it's creating like a little scab. And so the animal only bleeds freely for about a minute and a half. And then the little bat flies off, so it just kind of hovers like a little hummingbird. So that's the dangerous vampire bat that you hear about, right? I think it's pretty funny. So, there is some truth to, do bats get rabies? Yes, bats actually devour mosquitoes with much more insidious mosquito-transmuted diseases, and their immune system actually just digests it. I think that's amazing and really cool for an animal to be able to digest something that my immune system would die from. And I can have them as a pet in my backyard. That sounds kind of cool to me. Call me crazy, but bat crazy is the craziest of the crazies. It's been decided by popular polls. So my message at BuildABatShacks is I want people of 6 continents, not 7 because there's no bats in Antarctica. So, there's not much concern there because there's no mosquitoes either. The human to bat disaster ratio is dismal at best. They do get rabies, like I said, but their brain chemistry and how their just bodily organs and functions work, it dictates the docility. And the biggest danger to a bat getting rabies is that they get so sedentary, they'll sit at home and starve to death. That's pretty funny and tragic, but not very bad in the face of a rabid dog getting rabies that will attack me and my family. This bat's not going to attack anybody. So, don't handle it because it's possible and you don't want to get stuck with, being infected with rabies with no vaccination. So get vaccinated if you're going to be playing with bats. So an interesting fact is entire wars have been fought for the rights to harvest bat guano. Another interesting little fact about bats, their bat poop is called guano, bat guano. So I lovingly say to my children that I've gone bat guano crazy since this new fascination of ours about 2 years ago, a year ago now, 1 year ago. And so in the South Pacific Sea, there's islands that all there is there are caves and bat poop in the caves, and countries, people and men have died for the rights to harvest this poop, this guano. Well, what's so significant? Well, let me tell you. So at $11 a pound on eBay, you can buy bat guano. I think that's more expensive than like milk and gasoline both. That's odd. So has an active composting agent because it's got live dead insects. Well, not dead, but live decomposing insects. How's that? That active composting agent can cut your composting time in half. So say you have all of this material and you've calculated, it's going to take 6 months to decompose in your little, composting heap that you have in your backyard for instance. So you add this bat guano to it in certain ratios and numbers, and now your composting time for this material is 3 months for you to get this fresh material to use for growing purposes. Well, of course, farmers and countries and demand and supply of food is going to be intrigued by this scientific fact. So, bats aren't getting less interesting as I go in this. So after all of this exploration, what I do know is that every backyard, every pool, every patio, most definitely every tire shop or tire shop's neighbor needs a little bat roost in their property, on their premises somewhere. It goes 15 to 45 feet up in the air, on a pole, on the side of a building. The only precautions are to never bother the bats. They don't need to be fed. They don't need to be watered. They don't need to be touched. They actually prefer not to be bothered.
I like that.
Isn't that the most amazing?
That's the best pet. That's the whole best pet. I could do that.
All right. People ask, well, does the house come with babies? No, they echolocate as they're, migrating and coming in and out of season. And their season is about March, warm up to cool off, spring to fall. Depending on your area, February, March, April, May, most of them are having babies in North America. And, then the babies come back every year. So it's absolutely adorable. Just the idea of this as a pet that you never have to do anything to maintain. Yes. Now keep in mind, they're going to have poop directly under your house. So you do not want to put this on top of your front door.
No,
that's
not near the door.
Not the front door. No, maybe the side of a barn. Again, on a pole, a really tall fence. So any property that has drainage issues or standing water, any area, a lot of commercial properties have just water sitting there. And, nowadays, a lot of engineers are required to, do some kind of prospectus and understanding and study of the water drainage. And so you have like a pool of water that may collect, but then drain off at a later date when water tables come and go and change. So that's an interesting concept on where to put it. A lot of commercial properties are having, a natural habitat environment where they intentionally grow natural vegetation and whatnot. So far on distribution and growing this project, I love this project because I'm not looking for this project to make me a millionaire. I think a larger project, maybe. But what we're doing here, 55 kids took a bat house home to somebody's house in their family. I've got probably about 8 more sitting on my porch right now. A couple are going to get installed this winter at the school. The school's been having bee, hornet, wasp, other insect issues. And of course, there's mosquito bites on the soccer field. So we're going to see what we do there. There's, a natural garden that hopefully we'll get some nice vegetables out of in the next year or two with this fancy pants bat guano that we're doing. And we're hoping to continue this project. And, I've had other schools show interest and say that they do have interest in this program. And we'd like to grow this a little bit further. The revenue to make this sustainable, we want to do, buy one, give one bat houses where you buy one and you give one. So when you buy one for your backyard, you'll be giving one to either one of my kids at the schools that we work with, or I'm a Navy veteran, and I've got a soft spot for veterans. There are disabled veterans out there that their few moments that they spend outdoors because of their disability, they get eaten up by mosquitoes and they go right back inside, and that was their 30 minutes for the week or something ridiculous like that. So, the mosquitoes are just a very hot topic right now, especially with Zika. This isn't something that's going to go away. The white nose syndrome that is bothering the bats, that's not going to go away. there's requests for cures out there to raise money, but, from the research that I've found and the people I've spoken to, and, I am blessed and gifted enough. If you read about bats enough, you'll hear the name Merlin Tuttle. He is nice enough to let me ask him questions once a month if I need to and catch up with him. And he tells me when I'm doing something that's not bat friendly. So we had to change a little bit on how we're building the houses and the way we do the grain of the wood and, the colors that we paint with. And I love the constructive criticism that I am blessed with there. So we want to do events to raise money as well, because again, I don't want to be the next latest and greatest bat house builder. There are people that build bat houses out there, and they're great, and they're scientifically drawn up and proven too. I want to spread the word about bats, and I know the best way to spread the word is through children. Children go home and tell their parents. Parents aren't really known for being great learners after they turn into adults and parents. They're great caretakers. We are known for being great caretakers. I'd love to have social events. I would love to dress up in this crazy, awesome bat costume, and, all the proceeds from the night's events and auction money or whatever, what have you, happens. That portion of the proceeds goes to help building more bat houses for these kids. And again, the buy one, give one, ideally, I would also love for it to grow big enough to where when you buy one from me, I can donate it to a place that does have a serious water issue and a serious a serious mosquito-borne illness spreading issue. A lot of people don't realize Puerto Rico became, I believe they were 80% infected with Zika by the year 2017 in January. Well, that already happened, just in case nobody knows. Haiti went on strike. They don't even want to pay attention to Zika because in the grand scheme of things, you're going to live, and they're battling things that will actually kill you, like cholera, West Nile virus, dengue, yellow fever, dengue. I've been saying that wrong for a long time. So Haiti won their strike. They left and stopped working for 2 weeks, their medical staff, and 2 weeks later they came back to work with the acknowledgement that they didn't have to bag and tag Zika patients. And at first hearing that is kind of scary, but then in retrospect, realizing that this person who shows up in the hospital and gets admitted and gets treated for what's something as simple as Zika, where you might get flu-like symptoms, bloodshot eyes, but you're going to live and go home. Well, while you're there, you may get infected with cholera or yellow fever, and you will die. So why am I even admitting these people? At least let them go live with their flu symptoms. So then there's, the huge issue of Zika and offspring. It's just very troubling for me. And so we have figured out to be self-sustaining and continue this little bat house project to fully fund our buy one, give one. So we would have a full set of class and student bat houses to give, and as well have a full set to sell for each one of those. We would need $2,500, and that's going to be a volunteer labor force. And then $4,500 would pay for a paid labor force. To go a little further, we could get, a couple more tools and equipment to make this go a little faster. Last year, it was pretty much just me building 67 bat houses in my basement, which I loved, but that was a lot more than I expected. Let me tell you. But I loved it, and I loved the effect that it had. And, when I got to go to that class, and there were 57 kids in school that day, and at the beginning of class, I got to ask them, so who's afraid of bats? And the majority of those kids raised their hand and said they're afraid because of a bad story or lack of knowledge. And that's very typical of the adult public.
Absolutely.
And
I think if we tied it to Batman, it would be a much positive, more thing for the children at least.
Yes. The kids at the end of class, I got to ask them again, so How many of you are no longer afraid of bats that were afraid of bats at the end of this class, or were afraid of bats at the beginning of class that are no longer afraid of bats now?
Mm-hmm.
How many of you? And 13 kids raised their hand. And the reason they said they were no longer afraid is because, you know, they heard of rabies. They were afraid of things like this. You know, bats are scary from a concept of they fly around blind and supposedly bite things and eat things. That kind of sounds a little crazy to a kid. So where we are, and the thing I love about your group so much, and I appreciate so much of being a part of your group, is that every day there's something uplifting to read and see and hear and to have influence upon from. That I absolutely adore. There's honesty and truth and love and all kinds of stuff that you say. I've gotten to just read all the possibilities that are out there, because being considered to go into a non-for-profit status is a huge thing that we're thinking about here right now. But at the same time, being moved into a for-profit B corporation, that's a huge thing to think about right now too. So
Yes,
my entire project, while I absolutely adore it and I love it, and right now I think it's the best hobby that I've ever had in my entire life, and I love it. You know, we're in a discovery phase, and I love the influence that you have in this discovery phase of all this information that you make available for me to peruse and read and sort through and see what best fits for me and my project and where it seems like it's going.
we're good.
Thank you.
We're good. That's what it's for. That is exactly what it's for, because access to information is everything. I love that you've educated me on bats.
Yes, you know more now about bats than you did in the first place.
Hey, you have been my bat enthusiast. I tell anybody that has a bat question, go see the bat lady.
Yes. I'll tell you all about it. Anything you want to know. If you don't know now, I want to know.
But you had it nailed. But I am just excited for you. I am, and even whether you go for a nonprofit, I mean, I think that's the thing, is the access to the information, so you can make an educated guess. That's a hypothesis. So you can make an educated decision, and that's the thing, is the access to the information, and that's. You have made my day with this. I mean, the fact that you're in discovery and you're doing all these things. And earlier we talked about, you know, with all the hurricanes affecting the coastal areas, the mosquito population is going to boom in those regions. And
it's going to boom because of the standing water, the lack of drainage, the debris that's sitting, the dead animals. I mean, I think you posted this morning on how many millions of Puerto Ricans are sitting without regular food, water, transportation, medical supplies. How many of those people literally have waste sitting, have water sitting, have stuff sitting right there? That is a mosquito haven right there. You know, and you know, to bring this home a little bit for people who are not involved in something so serious, to understand that degree, you know, you may not even realize in your backyard, you walk outside, you get mosquito bites, and you just hate walking out the back door instead of the front door. Your neighbor may not even realize that there's a pipe loose under their house, and that's collecting water because it's draining out of the bathroom sink. You know, there's a lot of small issues here in suburbia that we don't even realize are so magnified by nature in an area that doesn't have the abilities that we have. I love my 211. I do.
Yes, absolutely.
211.
Yeah, yeah.
And several other things that are available to me.
311, 211, all the 11s, the 411, the 311, the 311, all the 911, all of that.
Those two.
All of the one. You're right. You're absolutely right. And in the time of, I mean, we've had 3 hurricanes, 3 very dire, you know, situations. And what I think about is, like, okay, we say that's in you know, that's in Texas, or that's in Florida, or that's in Puerto Rico. But I can remember when Katrina happened, I can remember going right out my door in my front yard, and we started seeing vegetation we had never seen. My own yard. You know, so if vegetation can fly from wherever it came from, you know, then so can a little mosquito.
Oh, most definitely.
You know, so
where it hit home for me with these hurricanes, you know, here where we are, where I live in my nice little ecosystem, I felt the weather aftermath from the hurricane that went through Houston, and I felt the weather aftermath from the hurricane that just went through Florida. And you know, in the very small bat crazy, we love bats and love baby bats and love everything about bats on the internet world. There's a huge colony in Houston which suffered huge losses. And there was a group, Bat B&B, I believe, and Batty Blue. They went and saved baby bats and saved adult bats and all the bats they can get a hold of. Well, they saved a couple of hundred out of a colony made up of smaller roost, comprised of millions of bats. So this millions of bats colony was dwindled to a few hundred. And that's tragic because there's only one species of bat that can reproduce at a more than 1-to-1 ratio. So you know that old saying, I know you love money, Linda. I know you do. I know you do.
Not necessarily to the effect that I do anything for it. But
no, I know you love the abilities it gives you. Yeah. The empowerment that money can give you, buddy, I'll tell you, money doesn't change people. It makes you more of who you already are.
You can't be blessed from your abundance. You can't bless as much from your when you have yourself.
Well, you know that old saying, with you have a penny and you double it every day, in 30 days you'll have $1 million, right? Well, if you have one bat and you double it every year, it's going to take 30 years to get from 1 to 1 million.
Yes.
Well, if you've gone from a few million to a few thousand or a few hundred, that few hundred is going to take how many years to get back to a million?
I know.
At 1 per year, you can double once a year. Not, and that's assuming all factors are perfect, you know.
Yeah, that's a perfect situation.
You know, a lot of people are terrified of bats, but let me tell you what, they're more terrified of most everything with an appendage. Like anything that can swat them out of the air.
Right.
They're mortified of, because if they land on the ground, again, they can't just jump and take flight. They have to crawl across the ground, climb up something, and then fall into the air to glide into flight. They can't just jump and fly. They have to catch flight.
Right.
And they have to catch a buoyancy. They can't jump into buoyancy like a bird. And so that crawling on the ground and crawling up a tree
makes them susceptible.
There's raccoons, possums, cats, dogs, birds of prey, cats, dogs,
birds of prey,
humans, all kind of stuff. I mean, it's amazing what all's out there that goes, oh, what a nice snack.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly.
So, you know,
my yard alone.
I know. I mean, my dog would have a treat getting a hold of a bat. I mean, I really, really, really have some empathy for Puerto Rico. I have empathy for Haiti, the Keys, the entire Caribbean, just everything that's going on down there, because I know how hard of a time it is. Maybe not personally. Where I live, there's been no hurricane. We just had the aftermath of hurricane weather. But that's tough rebuilding when there's not the support there to rebuild with.
Right.
And that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for a while.
Right.
Just like it's still tough in New Orleans.
Right.
You know, I've got family that lives about 30 minutes outside of New Orleans, and last I heard, it's not all better yet.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's the report I've received as well. Right. It's really tough, and that's why we have to start thinking of how do we help us. You know, I'm all about, and that's the premise of the group is to help us ground level ideas like yours and the others that are in the group. How do we help us? And so it's been a pleasure. This is June 22nd to pour information in there. I know I don't get it. I get in there every other week to do the live videos, but it's been a pleasure to have you in the group. I do appreciate that you've taken time out of your day today to join us. I'm going to post this on all my social media platforms and tell the world about BuildABat and share this information, and hopefully, and so if they want to contact you, how do they get to you?
Oh, well, we have BuildABatShacks@gmail.com and a phone number right here.
Okay.
I love the fun thing back here. We have a baby bat over here, and he missed the mosquito right here, and the mommy bat's coming and eating the mosquito. Me and the kids drew this earlier. It was decided this looks more like a piranha, not really a mommy bat.
I was trying to figure out the form there. I wasn't getting it. Okay, piranha, yeah. Okay.
It's a piranha, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and bats, you know, the baby bat's saying "kominasai," which is, oh, darn, in Japanese. I'm sorry. And it's, I'm sorry I missed. He was trying to eat the mosquito. And pedir, that is, you know, pardon me, or pardon in Spanish. And then, you know, the mommy bat's saying arigato gozaimasu, and that's thank you in Japanese. And, you know, an English mom would say yummy bug, and a Spanish mom would say delicioso, bicho. You know.
I love the kids.
We have language fun at our house. My kids,
yes,
Spanish and French are huge for us. Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Because we've been trying to get this together, and finally we've done it. Yay.
Hopefully third time's a beautiful charm.
Absolutely. we said we keep going until we got it done. So thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank the kids for the drawing. I do appreciate it. Tell them thank you, thank you. They never fail.
Kids are beautiful. They bring such a joy to this entire project.
Yeah, they do.
The longer story is why my daughter created this project, but absolutely hates me for this project. But project.
Yeah, and that video of her is awesome to steal.
Aw, thank you.
It's still awesomeness. But yeah, so thank you for lending your time toward this video, and just keep moving up. Let's keep going higher.
Yes, keep going higher.
Yes, ma'am.
Have
a great evening.
You too. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.